Good morning, everyone. Welcome to one more book launch event. My name is Neetu, the host for today on behalf of अध्ययन Books. आशा करती हूँ कि आपको हमारे नए ऑथर से मिलना, उन्हें जानना पसंद आ रहा होगा। कमेंट सेक्शन में जरूर बताइए। आज हम जिस किताब के बारे में बात करेंगे, उस किताब का नाम है मोज़ैक. Diverse Pieces One Picture is a powerful exploration of diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging. इस किताब की ऑथर हैं डॉक्टर निकिता वी रॉथ एंड रूपाली अनीजा. Dr. Nikita V. Roth is an accomplished HR leader, DI expert, and inspiring change maker who has consistently broken barriers in her personal and professional life. Born 100% blind into a middle family in Mumbai, she transformed challenges into opportunities through resilience, determination, and an inclusive mindset. Currently serving as Deputy General Manager, Sustainability Ethics and ESG at Bank of Baroda. She is one of the youngest and first visually impaired leaders to hold this position. A doctorate holder specializing in the inclusions of visually impaired person in organization. She also earned an MBA from GBIMS and multiple certification in leadership, ethics and NLP. Recognized with the prestigious national award by the Honorable President of India and listed among the top 40 under 40 HR professionals in the country. Dr. Roth is also a motivational speaker and trained classical singer, inspiring thousands worldwide. अब हम बात करेंगे रूपाली मैम के बारे में. रूपाली अनेजा is a seasoned HR professional with over 14 years of experience at Bank of Baroda, spanning HR operations, talent management, learning and development, DI and ESG. As a founding member of the bank's corporate ethics vertical, she played a role in shaping its ethics framework and integrating ESG and DEI strategies into the organizational structure. Armed with certification from IIMA, ISTD, ILBF, and others, she blends strategic HR with sustainability, driving inclusions, and ethical leadership. Her work reflects a deep commitment to building inclusive engagement and future reading workplaces. आइए अब हम इनकी किताब के बारे में बात करेंगे. मोज़ैक, Diverse Pieces and One Picture is a companion guide to understanding and applying diversity, equity, inclusions, and belonging. In today's fast-changing world, more than a corporate initiative, DEI and B is represented here as a vital framework for building workplaces and societies where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to thrive. Through inspiring stories, case studies, and research backed insight, the book explored the evolution of DEI from civil rights movement to modern workplaces practices. It also highlights how belongings has emerged as the emotional core of true inclusions. It offers practical strategies for leaders, organizations, and individuals to overcome unconscious biases, embrace intersectional diversity, and implement sustainable initiatives that move beyond tokenism. The author emphasizes that diversity brings people together, equity ensures fairness, inclusions give everyone a voice, but belonging creates connections, the ultimate measure of success in any community. When people feel they belong, innovation flourish, trust deepens, and growth become inclusive. Whether you are a HR professional, policy maker, leader, or student, this book serves as both compacts and companion. It challenges it challenges assumptions, spark reflections, and equips reader to create environment where every unique piece completes the picture of a stronger, fairer, and more humane world. So let's welcome Dr. Nikita ma'am and Rupali ma'am. Hello ma'am, कैसे हो आप?
Hello, Neetu. Good morning and good morning, readers.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Neetu ma'am, for the introduction.
Yes ma'am. So congratulations both of you. आपकी बुक Amazon पे लाइव हो चुकी है.
Thank you.
Yes. So मैम, अब जैसे हम बुक के बारे में बात करेंगे कि हमारे व्यूअर्स को आपकी बुक के बारे में पता चले, तो inspire you to write this book, ma'am. So ma'am, what inspire you to write a book on diversity, equity, inclusions, and belongings, ma'am?
Okay. Let me take this question first. First of all, thank you once again, Neetu, for initiating this launch interview and the brief introduction about us and the book that you have given.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
basically, for Rupali and me, both, there were multiple reasons which inspired us to write this book, starting from our own personal journeys. As you know, we also represent diverse backgrounds. So, I, being a woman and a person with 100% blindness by birth, and of course, Rupali being a woman, and plus, we both being the HR professionals in the country's one of the very leading, financial institutions, that is Bank of Baroda. So our experiences, our work, our observations, motivated us to write a book on diversity and inclusion, and more so also touch the part of belonging, not just stop at inclusion. So basically, to inspire our readers, to inspire the organizations, to inspire the academics, the students, etc., to not just initiate the diverse practices in their organizations, but also to live inclusion and ultimately propel an environment of belonging in their organizations at all times. Coincidentally, I'd also like to mention here that my doctorate, my PhD, happens to be in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, belonging and belongingness. Specifically, my topic was on the inclusion of persons with visual impairment in organizations, the socio-technical perspective. And while I was doing my PhD research, I found that there is a huge scope of particularly including the persons with disability, and lack of awareness, lack of sensitization in the organizations have restricted this unleashing of this immense potential that the persons with with disability have. So I thought, let us give some practical insights, some tips, some guidance in this book, and let us also have some stories in this book which can ultimately serve as a ready reckoner also for the organizations to progress further in their DEI journey. I'll also request my dear co-author Rupali to give her views on this.
Definitely,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much, Nikita ma'am, for expressing it so beautifully. To add to that, I would say from my personal journey that the seeds for writing on MOSAIC were sown when I was working on this agenda as part of my HR function, as well as when I was part of the ethics vertical, wherein while we did work a lot on research and the conversation around DI, we thought that this agenda can be contributed more meaningfully if we go just beyond the buzzwords and from the boardrooms to some emotional stories, some conversations that we understand that actually happen in the organization. And when we understand, as ma'am, or myself as HR functionaries and people who talk to, we get a lot of exposure talking to all segments of people in the organization. We wanted to bring all of that into the form of a story and emotion, that how DEI can actually impact the culture in an organization. And in fact, writing Mosaic has not just been an academic or a creative exercise for us. It has been a healing process. It has been like a learning curve, and of course a work of dedication for both of us. So that's when we thought that, yeah, this is an important agenda, but we wanted to contribute more meaningfully so that something more beautiful comes out in the form of a book like Mosaic.
Yes, and Rupali spoke about the healing process. The readers would be wondering what sort of a healing. So let me also share with all of you a very deep personal, one of the very deep personal reasons is that so Rupali and I, we both lost, one person each from our families in the last, couple of years. So I lost my father, and Rupali lost her young brother. And both of these personalities, my father and Rupali's brother, to whom we have also written our dedication in the book, inspired inclusion to the core. And like my father, he actually practiced inclusion for me long before even this became a buzzword in the corporate world, right? And same is the case with brother in Rupali's brother in his own ways. He included and practiced inclusion in his family, in the society around, and therefore we thought, what could be a better tribute to both of these souls who are the shining stars above us in the heaven today. And we thought, let us channelize our emotional pains in the energy of writing this book.
Definitely, ma'am. So it's a very beautiful agenda by writing this book, the agenda behind writing this book. Definitely, readers will definitely go and read, and they will, because this topic is when people don't talk about it. So,
Yes,
definitely, it helps the organization cultures and the structures as well. So,
absolutely.
as you have choose, why did you choose the title of the book as Mosaic?
I'll let Rupali answer this first.
Yeah.
Definitely, ma'am.
So,
Yes.
as we just mentioned, this book is not just any, HR agenda or anything on a compliance framework. It's more related to human psyche. And wherein, we have all through the book emphasized that, when we break down the culture of an organization, the DNA is in the form of the emotion of each and every individual. So we should realize the importance and value of each and every individual, irrespective of the diverse background that the person comes from. And every individual has its own purpose and an own level of contribution. And when all these different people they come together and they contribute together to the organization or to the society as a whole, it forms a beautiful picture like a mosaic. So while each of the metaphorically, if we see each of the tile on a mosaic or the design on a mosaic may represent something different, but when it comes together, it forms a beautiful picture in the form of a mosaic. That's where we thought that this would be a suitable title to this book. Mosaic, diverse
Absolutely.
pieces, one picture.
Yes, absolutely. And how, different pieces are included in a picture to form a beautiful outcome. Our vision is that, the diverse elements in the organization or even society for that matter should be included in such a way that ultimately the organization or the society or whichever institute that we are talking about ultimately comes out as a one beautiful outcome or a picture. Right?
Definitely, ma'am. So, did you face? So, why did you feel now was the right time to write Mosaic, diverse pieces, one picture?
Right.
So
Rupali?
we feel that the world at present is at an inflection point, not just post COVID, as we see that now the conversations regarding belonging, regarding human emotions, mental health, for that matter, post COVID pandemic, these type of conversations have become louder. So now it is not just the regular activities related to people, processes, and organizations that are being talked about, but more deeper activities like human, the employee engagement, employee experience, and more so the culture of the organization. So these are being talked about. So uh, practices like DEI, these are the ones in the people processes, which is the current and which is the future, and this is what shapes the organizations of the future. While
Yes.
there have been certain different viewpoints or perspectives in other geographies, we do acknowledge some of the rollbacks on DI initiatives in some countries and some companies, post certain directives from the US government, the Trump government. But yes, in India, for sure, DEI is not just the present, but it is also the future. The way diversity is ingrained in our society, in our community in itself. So this is a point wherein we are, utilizing the Western frameworks into creating the impact in organizations and societies within India. So definitely, at least in Indian context, DEI, this is the right time to talk about it and to derive the meaningful impact, the powerful impact which this practice can deliver.
Yes.
Definitely,
And
ma'am.
another very important aspect that we also discovered, or we all know, that technology has really advanced, and post COVID, also post pandemic, the boundaries of a physical workspace has almost eliminated, and the technology has really advanced. So we thought that for certain diverse groups, like for instance my own example, certain diverse group like a visually impaired person can actually work just as a sighted counterpart, using the computer, using the screen reading softwares, using the AI generated apps, just as any other person, right? So the technology can be leveraged completely for a very wonderful inclusion, and that is why we thought that these kind of aspects should also get covered in our book. And therefore, if you see, we have dedicated an entire chapter on the technology, leveraging technology for DEI, and how it propels, or how it helps inclusion.
Definitely, ma'am. So it's a very beautiful idea and the right time to write mosaic, diverse pieces in one picture. So, did
Yes.
you face any dilemmas or doubts while choosing DI and D as a central theme?
See, I will not say that we face any dilemmas or doubts. But yeah, we were conscious in the beginning when we started thinking on writing a book on diversity and inclusion. We were very mindful that this should not come out as just another textbook, or just on the shelf book on HR, or a management book. This should be a book which inspires people to enhance their DEI journey, not just in the workplaces, but also as individuals. Of course, writing a book is always, sometimes it's a journey, right? And it is definitely not work of few days or even few months. It takes a great deal of patience. It takes a lot of effort. And of course, it's a journey which we also went through. We had our own ups and downs, and then we also had a time when we were at the final stages of our book, and then there was some DEI rollbacks, and some negative sort of negative environment around the concept of DEI, which Rupali also just mentioned in the last answer. So a couple of our friends, also just asked us that, oh, you sure you really want to write a book on this particular subject, which is being so controversial right now? So these were the things that I think ultimately, while we say that people and organizations have to be resilient, I think we practice resilience on our own selves before we actually wrote it in the book, and that is how we had to be resilient for the book as well. Yeah, Rupali, do you remember any such dilemmas or doubts other than what I have said? Or you want to add something?
Absolutely. I would feel free to share my own personal experience because, as ma'am said, some friends questioned her. My own husband, in fact, questioned me while I was working on this because he works for an MNC. It was in his own company that, which was at a time a pioneer in DI. And all of a sudden, they rolled back the DI initiatives. As ma'am said, that writing a book has been a journey. So even while writing, there had been such a transition that when we were, taking cases of certain companies who have been pioneers of the DI initiatives, they were the ones who eventually ended up rolling back the DI initiatives. So definitely, there were a lot of dilemmas, a lot of challenges. But yes, we discussed, debated amongst each other. We discussed with some senior DI practitioners. And yes, we say with conviction that DEI is definitely, again, I would say, the present as well as the future. Because I'd also want to add it from the previous answer that Nikita ma'am said regarding AI. So we are all hearing that whether it is HR or people processes, operations, any domain, AI is the future. But if you go to any kind of HR conference, HR talk, you will find that along with AI, one point of discussion is also empathy. So, while no matter how much we progress in technology, in AI, empathy has to be there. That human, emotion has to be there for making people contribute meaningfully everywhere. So, these were certain dilemmas and challenges we had in mind. But yes, as rightly pointed out, resilience is what we are there to.
Definitely,
Yes.
ma'am, definitely. So, as many organizations treat DI as a compliance activity, what made you go deeper and add the dimension of belonging?
Rupali,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
belonging is your favorite topic.
Yes,
You were
Rupali.
so. Let me also tell my readers that it was basically Rupali's thought that we should have belonging added to our dimension, and I very readily accepted it at a chuckle. So, Rupali, I let you take this lead on this answer.
Sure. So while in the regular conversations we always say it as DI, but yes, what we feel is that the belonging is like the outcome of the DI initiatives and practices that we carry out, and maybe belonging is the single unit of the entire cultural conglomerate that we want to create. So belonging is the unit of the entire organizational culture. Belonging is the actual essence that yes, where a person feels that I matter, and yes, I am not just accepted but very much valued in this place. Going from compliance, yes, of course, certain organizations do follow DEI as compliance since it forms part of many of the reporting frameworks that we have. But we consider that DEI is much beyond that, because compliance doesn't have emotion, but yes, belonging, the essence of it is also human emotion. So that's where our book also tries to present the kind of emotions within the conversations that go around in organization, the emotions within the stories that each of the people from diverse represented groups they faced. So uh, I think instead of compliance, the focus of our book, as well as what we understand DEI, is all about belonging and culture, and not about just a compliance activity.
So ultimately, it is all about what impact ultimately is created on the employee and then finally on the organization. So DEI, while it is a process, I think as Rupali also said, belonging is the ultimate outcome, and therefore in one of the chapters in our book, the readers would like to read that we've also given some guidance on how do you actually assess whether an employee is feeling belong, what are some of these symptoms, so I think the ultimate destiny, I would say, is having a sense of belonging, the ultimate destination.
Definitely, ma'am. So, according to both of you, what is the biggest misconceptions about DI and B in workplace today?
Okay.
Any practical example?
See, normally, what we have, observed is generally when you talk about diversity and inclusion, the organizations focus more on numbers. Okay, how many people we have, how many women employees we have, how many persons with disability we have. Yeah, so it's more of, you can still say that a compliance thing, but uh, in real sense, DEI or the inclusion part, the belonging part, is more qualitative in nature. It is more to do with the culture. So hiring and having numbers probably is just the beginning, but ultimately, what steps are taken to make an employee feel completely included and give him or her the sense of belonging is the actual essence of DEIB. Right, Rupali, you can also give your
Absolutely.
views here.
Yeah, in fact, this is the biggest misconception, and I feel that this is, in fact, the perspective behind why a certain, sets of communities, people, or organizations are considering DI as negative or rolling it back, because DI is not about numbers. It's not about the recruitment, how many diverse groups we hire, because people sometimes tend to consider, the support systems under DI as privileges, or they even consider it as reverse discrimination. That why such special privileges for such set of people, and
Yes.
why they are being, given the privileges in jobs, in careers, and not us. So DI is actually not about that. It is not about numbers. It is about the people, the diverse, because organization is also a cross section of the society. We can't do away with diversity at all. If we have a diverse society, we have to have diverse organization. But how to meaningfully, create impact with that diverse group of people, by ensuring fairness, by creating platforms for inclusivity and belonging. This is what the real DI is, and not just about, hiring diverse set of people in the organization.
Yes. And one more misconception that I especially could observe while I was carrying out my PhD research is that, a lot of organizations, especially the ones, who are maybe mid-sized to large ones, they feel that having a DEI policy in place is, that's all. But sometimes, and on the other hand, some of the organizations, they feel that, oh, we don't have a DEI policy, so how do we start our efforts? I think it's not just about having a policy. Yeah, it's about the real action that has been taken. So I'll give you an example of one of the very small to mid-sized company who also features in as a case study in our book. So that company does not, it's a one man army company basically, and it doesn't really understand, or they don't really want to have a lot of policies on DI around, but they wanted to create some real impact, and they met me, they got some inspiration, and they decided to hire some two or three visually impaired persons in their organization, and they went and hired. So no too many no too many jargons, no big gaga about DEI, but they just went and hired and practiced inclusion right from day one. So sometimes, for organizations who may not have the resources to invest in big DI programs, for them, we always say that DEI is not as complicated as you think it is. It is just some actions with a real intent that the organization can take and have a meaningful inclusion, and ultimately sort of propel the culture of belonging.
Definitely, ma'am. So, in your book, you have outlined strategies for implementing DI. What do you think is the most challenging steps for organization in today's world?
I think it kind of
Yeah.
goes on similar, like what ma'am said. Drafting a policy is one thing. While of course drafting a policy also takes a lot of time, especially in big organizations. But yes, drafting a policy is one thing, but actually creating impact in the organizational culture is the most difficult thing, the biggest challenge in implementation of DEI. Because we say that yes, in our book we have also given the business case for DI, wherein we have said that diversity, equity, inclusion, it impacts the decision making in organization, it impacts the overall employee engagement, the employer branding, and it ultimately impacts the overall organizational culture. So when everyone collectively realizes this impact, the required impact of DI, and work together in one direction, and there is leadership buy-in, the employees also understand, that's what DI policy or the strategy is all about. That then that impact becomes complete, very powerful, and there is no looking back to it. But yes, to actually make that possible is definitely the biggest challenge. So not just on words, not just as a checkbox activity, not just as a compliance activity. When DI creates the actual business impact as well as impact on positive impact on organizational culture, this is the biggest challenge in DI.
Yes, and often we've seen that the DI programs start initially with hiring, and then sometimes it only stops at hiring and just recruiting people, and maybe the efforts of inclusion are stalled halfway, and sometimes the DEI efforts or DEI, intents do not really percolate down to the field level. So while you would have the top management having a perfect intent of inclusion, but the kind of sensitization that is required at the field functionary level may be missing. And ultimately, it has to be driven organization wide. It just cannot be the boardroom agenda or a top management agenda.
Okay, great, ma'am. So, which story or case studies in the book that impacted you the most personally?
So when you talk about the case study, so as I was mentioning, the case study of the organization which went and hired two visually impaired person, that's Zing HR. And when you talk about the stories, so our readers would be happy to know that we have in our chapter 9, we have 9 stories, and 9 story of very inspiring personalities. So all the stories are good, and we both thought, Rupali and I both thought there was one story particularly which inspired us the most. And Rupali, you may want to reveal the name.
Yeah, Turning Wheels to Wings of Pranav Surma. The story of Pranav Surma.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Pranav Surma, I would urge the readers to go and read all the 9 stories. And in fact, we would also like to have the readers' feedback as to which story or which part of the book inspired them the most. So, Neetu, should we
So,
tell our readers now, Rupali and Neetu, that we have a provision where they can share their feedback, or I think we can tell them towards the end of our conversation?
right.
Definitely, ma'am. You can set to the readers, and definitely they will go and read the book, and then they can share the feedback. What's
Yes, so we
inspired
have
the most?
So
absolutely.
I
So
would
we
just
have
want to add on this point that the 9 stories that ma'am is talking about, I would not reveal much though, because I would want the readers to actually go and read the book and
Definitely.
understand and have that feeling themselves.
Yes.
But yes, these stories are from people from diverse sections who we feel that have created a special path for themselves. And apart from Pranav Surma, I'd also like to mention that we have the story of uh, our executive director. In fact, she's the only woman executive director in the public sector banking space, that is Beena
yes,
Wahid. So the story, that's the very first story, rooted in identity, rising to influence. So definitely, she always is an inspiration to all of us. But yes, there
definitely.
are many other stories. Let's see what readers feel is their inspirational story.
Definitely, ma'am. And how do you see DI and belongings connecting with sustainability and ESG in the long run?
Okay, so another favorite topic of mine, ESG and sustainability, and I'm sure Rupali's as well. So when you talk about ESG, the S part, that is a social pillar of ESG, DEI is one of the very, very essential and a very important element of the S part, the S pillar of ESG. And we have seen that the companies who do well in the TEI journey ultimately also happen to do well in their ESG and sustainability journey. So definitely, it really matters. And as I always say, it's my favorite quote that DEI matters for sustainable organizations.
Yes. To add to that, I would want to say that while DI is not just a very important aspect of the S of the ESG pillars, ESG, it is also there in several other frameworks like GRI, SASB, and in India, of late, it has gained a lot of importance after BRSR framework becoming a mandatory framework for all the organizations. But yes, again, not to forget that this is not just a compliance activity. Mind you, apart from DI, employee engagement is also one of the important factors in such frameworks, reporting frameworks. And I, over the experience that we've seen that across the kind of surveys that happen for the employees, whether it is HR related employee engagement or ethics survey, what we have seen is that there is a progression in employee engagement for the organizations, those who give importance or implement DI. So having DI is not just a compliance activity. Once it is implemented in letter and spirit, it definitely impacts the other parameters also in ESG and in sustainability, like employee engagement.
Yes.
Definitely, ma'am. And what ripple effects do you hope this book will create outside workplaces in society at large?
Okay. So, this particular topic, diversity and inclusion, as we also said earlier, is not just limited to a workplace or an organization. So, wherever there are human beings, this topic is relevant. How you include people around you in your social gatherings, in your families, we've always been practicing inclusion. For instance, a very simple example, whenever there is a new bride who comes in the family, a dulhan jab aati hai ghar mein, what efforts does a family take to make her feel included actually also depends, or rather, it also influences the kind of relation she has with everyone at her home. This is a very simple thing, but I think it's a very pertinent example here as far as the societal concept is concerned. So, with this book, we would want our readers to have conversations in their social circles, maybe at dinner table and parties, to gauge that what they are doing as far as the inclusion is concerned for their own self, how included do they feel, and what can they do to sort of enhance the inclusivity around them.
Yes, and in
Definitely.
addition to the discussion within the society and at the dinner tables, as ma'am mentioned, we would also want discussion in the classrooms, because when the students are there, that's the right time when the minds get shaped.
Yes.
So before even they enter the workplace, when it creates a ripple effect that this becomes a topic of discussion even in classrooms. So that's the right effect that we are expecting out of the readers from this book.
Yes.
Definitely, ma'am. As we read about HR policies, marketing, finance, so definitely we can add this topic as well, TI and the belongings, so that people came to know about the organizational structures and the workplace. So वो starting से उनका एक mindset prepare हो जाएगा when they are working in any organization as well.
बिल्कुल सही. Yes,
Right.
बिल्कुल,
Even in
बिल्कुल.
academia, in the HR books, so there are no comprehensive books on DI in particular. There are
Yes,
books
yes.
on organizational development and culture, but a comprehensive book on DI, probably MOSAIC will come as a handy
Yes,
book.
we hope that it will come definitely as handy. And you remember the thing that we were talking about, an opportunity for the readers to share their views on DEI. So I think, Rupali, we should reveal it how. So in the book, we have given
Towards
a
the end
provision.
of the book, towards the end of the book, we have a QR code wherein you can share your story, your conversations, and yes, as we say, DI is a journey. It's not necessary that we end up at this book. Maybe we get
Yes.
much beautiful stories going forward, which we can curate, and we probably come up with a website of the book, and as well as
Or
we
maybe
come up
another
with
book also.
maybe another book
Definitely.
as well. So yes.
Yes. So, one more last question, ma'am. If a reader has to take just one key message from your book, what will be it?
Okay, Rupali, you will want to go
Yeah.
first.
So one, I'll put it in very simple words. The one key message that they can take is that they should not expect inclusion to happen. Inclusion begins from you. So you should think what are you
Definitely, ma'am.
doing towards inclusion as an individual.
So the reader will have to be the change that they want to see in the society or in the workplace.
Yes, ma'am.
And a
So,
message, yeah.
yes, ma'am.
And one more thing, as we've always tried to keep the tone. How can we create an impact where people feel belonged? Hmm? So how can what steps? What are those little steps that we can take on in our individual capacity or in the capacity of an organization as a whole to enhance or to propel the culture of inclusion and belonging?
Definitely, ma'am. And readers will definitely go and scan that QR code, and then they can share their stories and feedback as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Yes.
We would love
So,
to hear the stories, feedbacks, comments, etc.
definitely, ma'am. So, definitely, ma'am, it's a very useful and very inspiring session that you are inspiring the peoples and also knowledge them about the DI and the culture and the belongings. So मैम हम आपकी बुक का लिंक नीचे डिस्प्ले करेंगे ताकि लोग जाएं और आपकी बुक को रीड करें और समझें इसके बारे
Thank
में.
you.
Yes.
Ji.
So, Mosaic Diverse Pieces One Picture is a powerful call to action for building truly inclusive and equitable workplaces. It blending uh, lived experiences, case studies, and practical strategies. It goes beyond theory to show how diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongings can transform organization and societies. So the book highlights how diversity brings people together, equity ensure fairness, inclusions give everyone a voice, and belonging creates true connections. So it was written by two HR leaders and change makers. It inspired readers to reimagine cultures where every individual feels valued, respected, and empowered. Providing the diverse pieces together create one stronger, a beautiful picture. So thank you so much, Nikita ma'am and Rupali ma'am, for joining this book launch event. And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Neetu, and thank you, readers. Thank you, Adyan Publishing Book House, for publishing our book. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So जो आज हमने सीखा Mosaic Diverse Pieces One Picture, readers learn how to move from awareness of diversity, equity, inclusions, and belonging to a practical action. The book explained the difference between equity and equality, how unconscious bias shapes workplaces, and why belonging is the true measure of inclusions. Through real stories, case studies, and actionable framework, it shows how organizations can create inclusive policies, build equitable system, and foster innovation through diverse teams. Readers gain insight into leadership roles, the impact of technology, and global best practices. Ultimately, discovering how to create spaces where every individual feel valued and empowered. Thank you so much for watching us and do not forget to share, like and subscribe. ऐसे ही हम न्यू बुक्स के और उनके ऑथर के साथ आते रहेंगे. Thank you so much.